Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first edition of the King's Vegetarian Food Manufacturing Company website recipe cooking class. Today we are going to show you a nice fresh salmon salad, vegan salad. It's going to be with the sweet corn relish. We're going to have some fresh blanched vegetables for you, and we're also going to have some nice garden greens. We are going to make a rice vinaigrette for our corn relish, and we're going to finish it off with a balsamic reduction vinaigrette, which will make fresh with some Dijon mustard, some balsamic vinegar, and cracked pepper. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'm just going to turn some water on here so I can start the boiling process so we can get the vegetables and the corn going. So we've already prepared a few ingredients for you here, realizing that we're going to have to show you a little bit how we got to that part. So this here represents what we're going to use for the relish, for our sweet corn relish. So we've got some fresh cob on the corn here. It's called peaches and cream. We've got some diced fresh English cucumber. We've got some Roma tomato, fresh diced. And we've also got some red pepper diced. And this is what we call an orange fillet. It's a navel orange, best orange in season at the moment. It's going to be a garnish. We've also got chopped curly parsley, chopped fresh basil, which will be part of our relish, our vinaigrette for that. Now we also want to give you a little bit of tutelage at the moment on how we get to these cuts for all of our vegetables. So what I've done here is I've got myself a corn, a navel orange, and a red pepper. I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration of how we get, so you can see all these uniform cuts. More we have a nice uniform cut, putting effort into our salad, the more it looks like we spent a long time on it, and impress your guests. So we'll start with the corn. Fresh corn is always better. You can see the kernel is quite small. It's winter time. In the summertime you see a much richer kernel, a little bit better flavor, a little juicier, and a little easier to cut. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this corn in half. We don't need the entire corn, so we'll just do one side of it. You can see how deep the corn goes. At the end it's also a little smaller, gets deeper. So you want to cut as close to the end of the kernel as possible, get as much of that flavor as you can. So all I would do is stand it up, make it easier, and just follow, turning your angle in your knife inwards as you get down. So you can see I've pretty much got it all. And I can follow my first cut as I go down on my next cut, make sure I don't lose anything. You might lose a little bit on the first cut, not a big deal. You can always go back and retrim it. It's just that easy. You don't need much corn. For the relish, one cob of corn goes a long way. So you can see, according to the recipe you'll see on the website, that basically these little bit of kernels will make you at least one full recipe. Now while I'm doing this, I want to tell you a little bit about our website. We have generated a website where you can see all these recipes with full color pictures of the finished products. And these videos will also be on the website, so you can have a look and see how we got there and a step-by-step process. That way, if you're wondering, no worries. We don't want to, take any secrets with us. So here's my red pepper. It's a sweet bell pepper. I'm just going to cut one side there. Now normally I might, if I'm doing a whole bunch, I might just cut the top off. I'll take out the inside here, and I'll get rid of that. But I'll wind up at the end with a nice piece like that. So I'm going to push it down with the palm of my hand to flatten it. We do that so we can take out the inside white pith, because the pith is not quite as sweet as what we'd like it to be, so we don't want to use that in our nice decoration. Then simply cut even strips about 1/16 of an inch wide along the length of the pepper. Straighten them all out so that all the ends are equal, like I've got there. Take your knife, bend your finger so you're not going to cut into your finger. And just move your fingers back a little bit every time you make a cut, and get your cuts about the same size each time is great. More uniformity, better it looks for you. So you can see it's really simple. Just a few seconds and I've got myself some nice cut red pepper. So we've done the corn, we have done the red pepper. Now this here is an orange. It's a nice fillet. It's a fillet because we've taken out all of the insides out of it, so it's purely edible. And I want to show you how we got to that stage. So this is just a nice traditional navel orange. All we do is we cut the end off square, not too deep. Oh, maybe a little bit deeper, sorry. So that's what you want to see. You can see the depth of the skin coming in. Trim it on the bottom. Same. So you can just see how deep that is. Then we're going to trace around the frame of the orange, following the skin. Curving my knife. So you see, following the first cut, I know how deep to go, and I'm angling my knife in all the times I go around. Don't worry if you get a little bit of skin or white on the orange still. It doesn't really matter. You can always go back and retrim it. Not a big deal. Because we're going to flip it upside down and catch whatever we missed. So, you can see here a little bit. Quite simple. You don't need to be a professional to do this. It looks a lot harder or easier. Anybody can do this. Maybe one practice shot and you can become professional at it. Take your orange in your hand. You can see the divided segments here. Cut along the division there. Like angling inwards like that. Both sides, like an apple if you were. And there you've got a nice segment. Okay? And you can use this for just about anything. It's a wonderful decoration, a nice salad. You can use it in a fruit salad. You can use it even in a hot dish as a garnish on top. In a hotel, you see this on a fruit platter, all done like this. Make it easy for you. Oops. If that happens to you, don't worry about it. Just trace it out. Cut that skin out. There you go. Okay, don't throw that part away, whatever you do. It's good eating, good juice. Squeeze it out and you can have a nice glass of orange juice afterwards. So I just wanted to show you how we got to some of these cuts. It's pretty simple. It's not anything special. Anybody can do it. You don't need any kind of training. You don't need to go to school for this. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to start making my relish. The first thing I have to do is cook my corn. Even though I just took it fresh off the cob, I'm going to put it in this boiling pot of water. I've already heated this up. I've got no salt or anything in this pot just yet at the moment, because I want to keep it as saltless as possible until I get to my seasoning side. So once it's cooked, it won't take long. We're talking maybe 30 seconds or so. I just want to get a little bit of a soft and a color on it. I'm going to take it out and we're immediately going to start making our fried relish. So I got to wait a few seconds for that. At the same time as I'm doing that, I'm going to start on my dressing. So my dressing, like I said, it's a rice vinegar vinaigrette. So I've got some nice Nakano rice vinegar here. It's a little bit strong, a little bit acidic. It's great. That's exactly what you want. You don't want to be using rice wine vinegar because it's too sweet and it won't give any balance basically to what you're looking for. So it'll just be sweet on top of sweet. So you see my color in there? That's all I want. I want maybe 20 seconds because I'm going to be frying it up anyway shortly afterwards. So to cook it all the way through 100% right now would be too much, because then when I go to fry it, I'll be overcooking it. So that's the thing when you're second cooking everything, you don't need to do the first cook very long. So this is a technical term. You see it in a lot of professional cookbooks called blanching. So it's a first cook to just kind of get the moisture into it that it can receive the nice frying. If I was to take this corn without doing the boiling method just for a few seconds here, it would be impossible to eat. It would be so crisp and so hard. So you can see just how simple that is. So I'm going to pour off a little bit of this moisture. I've got a little bit too much water. I don't want that much water. Okay, I'm going to keep that to the side for a few seconds here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get ready to make my vinaigrette. So for the vinaigrette, what I need is, I need my rice vinegar, I need my olive oil, nice virgin olive oil or an extra virgin olive oil, very healthy for you. And then I've got my parsley, my fresh basil that I'm going to grind into it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in my parsley. So if you're following the recipe, it's basically the parsley and the basil will give you a nice bouquet color, and then basil will give you a nice kind of sweetness, freshness to balance off the rice vinegar. We're not making a lot here. I make more than what I need because the blender is a bit larger, so I have to make sure that I've got enough. Otherwise, of course, the blades won't catch it. So you could even do this on your own in a bowl. You don't need to have a blender necessarily. Blender just makes it a little easier. Gives a nice puree final look to it. Okay, and then we're going to put in our olive oil. Traditional recipe for any vinaigrette is about 3 times of your oil to your vinegar. Otherwise you're going to wind up very strong bitter taste. You won't be able to have a nice time eating it. A little bit of salt. So this is a no salt product we're trying. We're seeing how healthy it is. It's a regular Windsor granular salt, and it's supposed to be very easier for you to digest than the high sodium, and healthier for you. So you can, well, not that you want to go crazy eating as much as you want because it's low sodium, but you can eat it with less risk, I'll say. So we're just going to put the cap on this. We're going to give it a buzz real quick. Sorry for the noise ahead of time. So, that's a nice kind of bright color. I can smell the very nice bouquet of the basil with the rice vinegar. So I'm just going to get a spoon, have a taste of it, make sure I'm on the right track before I go using it. Quite nice. I'm going to put a bit more oil into it though, just to make sure it's balanced. So if you're wondering how to get the oil in there without making a mess, pop the plastic top middle out of your top of your blender, then you can pour in your oil without having to lift it up and make a big mess. So what I recommend you do though, start with the lid on, get it going. Okay, there we go. I think we got exactly what we're looking for now. There it goes. A little bit heavier now. Not so heavy, but remember, this is supposed to be a vinaigrette to give flavor to the relish as we're going. So what we're going to do now, I am going to start with the relish. I'm going to turn my burner on here real quick. They're quite long for the pan. So I'm going to cut them and then start with my carrots. Take about, maybe about 5-6 minutes to get my carrots to the point where I want them. So I'm just going to put them in right now. I'm leaving the ends on it because I've always kind of been a bit partial to having the ends. Kind of gives it a bit of color on the plate instead of that really rigid. A little bit of whiff of smoke coming off. We call that smoking point. So be careful there, doesn't splash you. I've got a slotted spoon to put my corn into my pan. I don't want to have any worries with the moisture. Last thing you want to do is get a good splash up in your face and then you might end up burning yourself. Alright, so keep the heat very high. You want to make sure that you've got a good amount of heat so you can get a good color. You want a nice, well, I'll say a light golden color on your corn before you add anything else. My white pepper, a little bit more robust taste. So you got to be a little careful here. We're popping up here pretty good. Okay, we're going to put our red peppers in there now. Okay, and every time you're cooking, be aware to keep the heat up. Because every time you add something to your pan, especially if it's a traditional oven with an electric burner, you lose a lot of heat. So if you think your oven or your stovetop is too hot and you turn it down, for my kernels there, that's just what I want. I don't want it deep brown, but I do want a nice caramel. Now, like I said, you don't want to cook your tomatoes too long. I've also taken out the seeds of my tomatoes. Because if I put the seeds in with my tomatoes, well, that means all the moisture is also in my tomato as well. I don't want that moisture. Because that moisture is going to release and it's going to completely water down the taste of the dressing that I made with the basil and the parsley and the rice vinegar. I don't want ends of my carrots out. They're done. Because they're a lot thinner than the green end, so they'll cook twice as fast. So the other part of my carrot still needs a couple of minutes to cook. But it's almost done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a portion of my vegetables. I'm going to start with my beans. I don't need a lot. I'm doing one plate, maybe about 5 beans is good. I'm going to put my beans in there. I only need a few seconds because basically, like I said, 30 seconds is good enough. Then I can add the next one, which is my broccoli, the next fastest. So I've taken out my relish to this point. Okay, I'm turning off the heat. So you can see here it's nice and hot, and it's got a nice kind of, actually I can smell the corn and everything already. It's really nice, and it's got a beautiful color. Then I showed you earlier, I had my cucumber, my English cucumber diced. So I'm going to put it in now. I don't cook the cucumber. If I was making a sweet and sour or something like that, I would definitely want to cook my cucumber, but because I'm not, the cucumber needs to stay raw, keep it a bit of texture. You don't want to have everything kind of mush and too soft. So, you can see my beans are just about done. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take them out. Beans are very fast to cook. We're talking maybe 30-40 seconds, because I'm going to fry them up afterwards, so I don't need to cook them too long. Okay, I'm going to put my broccoli in, just enough for one plate here. Pardon me. Okay, so by the time my broccoli is done, I can easily say that my carrots will be done, and that'll be just perfect. So I've got my components of my relish into the bowl. Now I'm going to add just enough of this dressing. You can see the nice thickness texture of it. Again, the first time we looked at it, it wasn't quite so thick because of the fact that I had to add a bit more olive oil to it. And you get a nice, beautiful color off of that. You don't want to put too much. You just want to moisten it. And you could do this ahead of time. This vinaigrette, I mean, it's going to last a week. So you don't have to make it just as you're doing it. If you like the vinaigrette, you want to use it for different purposes. It's a wonderful marinade. It's a wonderful dressing. Okay, we're going to taste now our relish. If you were to let this sit, maybe about an extra 10-15 minutes, you get a wonderful, more robust taste out of it. Pretty good. I like it. I'm going to put a bit more of this no salt. A little pepper. I always like to leave my final seasoning to the very end. Don't put everything you think you need right away. Can't take it out. Once you've added it in, you're stuck with it. So you better kind of try to judge how much you think you need right away, and then reduce it a little bit. Easier just to keep going and then not have to take it out. Look how beautiful our broccoli is. It's nice and green, and you can see it's still got a nice firm to it. It's not mushed. So now my last vegetable I want to do today, asparagus. What I do to make it cook faster, I trim it to get all the woody kind of purplish ends off, and I peel about the last inch with a nice peeler. Now my water is going to go in. Again, we're talking 20 seconds. Happy birthday. Once you sang happy birthday once, take it out, it's done. 25 seconds. There we go. There's my portion of vegetables. Now, I'm going to cook them in this pan that I took out of my relish. So I'm going to put this here for the moment. That way, they will come back to being the nice green color. Because now that we've done what we're doing with our vegetables, I have to cook them right away. If I don't cook them right away, what's going to happen is they're going to keep cooking on me, and eventually they're going to lose all their color, and they're going to get that really overcooked grayish look to them. So I've got another pan on the go here. Add the next longest item. Let's put a couple of corn in there, or a couple of carrots, I mean, sorry. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit. Okay. There, look at that, that's beautiful. And I'm looking for a little bit of color on my my carrots. I'm looking to get a little bit of caramel on there. A little bit more oil. Okay, now that my mushrooms are, for all intents and purposes, nice and brown, now I can add a bit of salt and pepper. And if I want to continue on with the same flavor profile, what I might just do is put a bit of basil and parsley in there. So you can see my carrots are getting a nice golden color to them. That's exactly what I'm looking for. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add some beans. I don't need much time on the beans, and I certainly don't need much time on the asparagus, so I'm talking maybe 15-20 seconds. And I'm going to turn around and add a little bit of that leftover basil and a little bit of the leftover parsley at the end to give a bit of profile flavor. I've added a bit of the no salt, a little bit of the white pepper. Okay. When I add my broccoli, that's pretty much the end, and I'm only going to just warm it up. I'm not looking for too much color on my beans or asparagus, just a bit of a warmth. And now I'm going to add my my broccoli back. I'm not trying to fry my broccoli. I don't want it golden brown by any means. Okay, there we go. Let's do a bit of hot. And like I said, I want a bit of profile, but I think it'd be nice to add a bit more of that leftover fresh basil. And maybe a bit of that parsley. Okay, there we go. And turn it off. The real cholesterol, just about no fat. Got a wonderful flavor. And all I'm doing is warming it up and giving it a little bit of color. It's vegan, even vegetarian, you don't have to cook it. But what you do need to do is give it a bit of color to it. So all I want to do is show that it was definitely fried up, a little bit of coloration happening there. I'm stopping there. Now what I've got over here is my mixed green salad. This is a wonderful mix of red oak, asuna, green leaf, and baby spinach. You can get this in any retail store. It's a wonderful fresh mix. Everybody carries it. I can show you what it came out of here. So, and you get about 3 portions out of that. So this is basically this is a 142 grams. So you want at least 50 grams, 60 grams per person. So 50 grams is not a bad sized portion. The only thing I've got left to do here now, I'm going to make a salad dressing for the salad. So this is just a pretty standard offering of a balsamic vinaigrette. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take Dijon mustard here. Nice organic Dijon mustard. I'm going to put a good spoonful in. Okay. I like my Dijon, so I usually put a little extra. Okay. I am going to put just a little bit of honey. Just a little bit. This is a wonderful amber honey I've tried recently, and I find it gives it a nice kind of malty taste. Because usually honey is just so sweet. So now I've got an opportunity to balance that sweetness off. I like to use my Modena vinegar, balsamic, the dark, very rich, gives it a nice kind of contrast. So now that I've got my vinegar, again, I'm trying to follow the 3-to-1 rule here. So mix in your balsamic, your honey, your mustard. And what I also know I'm going to need is, I'm going to put a little bit of tarragon. I think tarragon is a wonderful addition to this dressing. A little bit of dry tarragon. And I am definitely going to put in a bit of white pepper. I call that just a bit better than a pinch. And of course some no salt. And it was about, again, a pinch. So give it a good stir. Then we're going to use our olive oil again, and we're going to make ourselves a dressing. Keep stirring it vigorously until you've got a nice emulsification. It's got a nice little zip from the balsamic, and the wonderful taste of the tarragon really blends itself well. So, now we're going to put it to the plate. We've got all our components. We've got our salmon, we've got our vegetables, we've got our relish. We've got pretty much everything ready to go here. So we've let our relish sit for a couple of minutes, so that way it's built a bit of flavor. We've got our nicely roasted vegetables, and we've got our wonderful green salad. So now let us put a bit of this vinaigrette into our dressing, or into our salad. You don't need to put too much. We're going to put enough so that it's going to give it a nice profile. Guests can always take a little bit extra dressing on the side and enjoy it. And because you don't know how much every person is going to appreciate of their dressing, better a little less, just to get the leaves wet. And also, when you get that dressing on there, it's a bit of a heavy dressing with the olive oil and the weight of it. So it's going to make your salad fall a little bit sooner than you might think. So let's take our plate. Let's build ourselves a nice little salad in the center. I've taken a nice large plate so you can definitely see all the way around it. And nice large plate has a nice little classical look to it. So that's a nice portion of salad there, I think. Okay. I'm going to get my towel here. I'm going to give it a bit of a wipe. It was a bit messy there, I'm sorry. Okay. I want to build my vegetables next. So, there we go. Try to keep all my vegetables coloration a bit separate from each other. You don't want to have all the greens and all the same colors together. It may not look so great at the end. Okay. You can smell the wonderful vegetables. They smell so nice. Nice rich taste. Okay. And we'll put a bit of the broccoli in here. So we're kind of choosing our presentation side of our plate here as we're building it. Okay. So, if you, like I said, this is a plate for one. If I was building maybe a plate for about 6 people, I definitely would have started this earlier. I definitely would have done my vegetables separately. And I definitely would have put them in ice cold water, and then I would have just fried them. I wouldn't have blanched them in my salted water like I did, and then put them on the plate as I go. Because I don't really have the time if I've got a lot of people coming over. Okay, show my salmon here. I'm just going to fix that up for a second, sorry. Just a bit more onto the salad there so they can see it. Okay. Okay, and then, I'm going to take a spoon here, got my relish. Just put a few little dollops around the plate. So you're going to find the combination of the salsa with the crispness of the cucumber and the peppers and the tartness of the rice vinegar is going to blend well with the richness of the balsamic. And you've got the nice meatiness of the cremini mushrooms. So you got a lot of happening here. So you've got your sweet from your dressing, you've got your spicy, you've got everything going on. Okay, and remember our orange segments. So that'll add a nice little balance and contrast to my plate. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. See you next time.